members of the board. It's 9:30 a.m. and today is Wednesday, June 17th. My name is Brian Zumwalt. I'm the director of the county's Office of Technology and Innovation. I'll be playing the role of technology moderator for today's budget information session. On the panel with me is Don Crowell from the county attorney's office, who'll be serving as process moderator. And as usual, before we start today's meeting, I'd like to do a quick roll call and ensure that we've got communications for each commissioner. If we can start with Commissioner Eggers.
Good morning, Brian. I'm here.
Good morning. Commissioner Seal. And I've not seen Commissioner Seal online just yet. Oh, there she is. Commissioner Seal, can you hear me okay?
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, Commissioner Welch.
Morning, Brian.
Good morning. Commissioner Peters.
I'm here, Brian.
All right. Who did I miss here? Commissioner Justice. Commissioner Justice, can you hear me?
Good morning, Brian.
Okay. Commissioner Long.
Yes, good morning. I'm here.
And Commissioner Gerard.
All right, good morning.
All right, I'll hand the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you. Brian's Barry's gonna lead this meeting, but I just wanted to let people know if you're here to make public comment, we're not taking public comment today. This is a budget work session, and there won't be an opportunity to speak. So, Barry.
Good morning, commissioners. Today we have 6 budget information sessions with various departments. There'll be nothing voted on today. These are simply to go through the budget, outline the issues facing that particular entity, and in July I'll be bringing back our budget recommendations and asking for your consideration and a vote at that time. So first up today we have the Supervisor of Elections.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Administrator Barry Burton, Jewel White, County Attorney. Yes? All right. Good morning, everyone. This is different, but this is good. I want to first begin my budget presentation with a sincere thank you. Each of you as County Commissioners, County Administrator Barry Burton, County Attorney Jewel White, and a thank you to our 200 county employees who helped us conduct the 2020 presidential preference primary, and a thank you to our voters who stayed informed and took advantage of their voting options. Despite enormous obstacles in the days leading up to the presidential preference primary, our community came together, which resulted in Pinellas County having a successful election. And it truly was a team effort. So I want to just say first and foremost, thank you. So now we're headed into the fall. So we are planning, of course, and they're well underway, our plans, and voters are going to have voting options to consider and unprecedented access to the electoral process. For the primary election, we will have 3 early voting sites. And for the general election, we will have 5 early voting sites. In the past, we used Gulfport Community Center as an early voting location, but we're going to move that location to the Allstate Center on 34th Street South, which is across from PTEC. The Allstate Center is going to provide for a larger room while providing equal access to voters residing in the southern portion of Pinellas County. So we think this is a good move considering the COVID pandemic. For Election Day, we want to maintain current polling places that we have contracted with, but there are still ongoing concerns regarding COVID that are out of our control. For example, we have lost 13 polling places, one just as recent as yesterday. Recognizing that this is a presidential election year, our goal for each election day is to have as much continuity as possible, as voters who are familiar with the process are more likely to participate. Plus, keeping local community polling places will provide for smaller groups of voters voting at one location, which is ideal when managing an election during a pandemic. In regard to mail ballots, we are asking all—
Julie, can I
Yes,
stop
ma'am.
and ask a question
Please.
about—
Yes, at all time, anytime.
what are your early voting sites aside from Allstate? What are the other 2? Or
Yeah, so we have our 3 offices, which are downtown St. Pete, in Largo and Clearwater. And then we also have the center of Palm Harbor. And these are the locations, all but the change from Gulfport to the Allstate. These are the locations that we've had since 2014 for each
Okay.
general election.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And please, at any time, please, please ask me questions at any time.
Madam Chair, can I jump in?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So recounting the 5, you said St. Pete, Palm Harbor, Starkey, Clearwater.
And
Which
the
one?
Allstate Center, sir.
And that's for the general.
Yes, sir.
And for the primary, it'll be 3.
Yeah, it's just based on data. It's our 3 offices. Are
3 offices for the primary?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Supervisor.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So in regarding to mail ballots, we are asking all voters, please consider this reasonable and secure voting option. By voting in the comfort of your home, you are helping us provide safer environments for voters who need to vote in person and for our election workers. We took a layered approach to making mail ballots even more accessible and convenient for both the primary and general elections. In 2008, we began educating voters on the option of voting by mail, as many voters didn't even know that they didn't even need an excuse anymore to vote by mail. And between 2008 and in 2012, our voters embraced this option of voting by mail, and our requests for mail ballots increased by 600%. And since 2010, over 50% of all ballots cast in general elections have been by mail. And Pinellas County has had higher voter turnout than that of larger counties in Florida, our tri-county area, and that of both federal and Florida's voter turnout averages. Our education efforts on this voting option continues, of course, leading into these fall elections, as we understand the importance of mail ballots and how they relate to public health. This past Friday, we started mailing a postcard to every registered voter who does not have a mail ballot request on file, which is almost 400,000 voters. This postcard gives voters the option to request a mail ballot by going to our website, votepinellas.com, or calling us at 464-VOTE, or returning the postcard with prepaid postage. We will begin mailing domestic ballots 35 days prior to each election. Voters can track their ballots on our website, votepinellas.com, to see when their ballot has been mailed to them, when we receive it, and when it has been counted, which will be indicated after Election Day. Please know that Florida law does not allow for mail ballots to be left on doorsteps as undeliverable. They cannot be forwarded to another address. These mail ballots must be returned to the Supervisor of Elections by the USPS. So it's very important that voters keep those addresses current with us so that their ballots can be received timely. As a reminder, mail ballots must be received by the Supervisor of Elections by 7 p.m. Election Day. To help voters get those ballots back to us timely, voters can choose to return them by mail, or they can take them to a ballot drop-off location. For the primary and the general elections, we will be paying for return postage, and we will be adding 8 additional ballot drop-off locations for a total of 23 locations. By doing this, every voter will be within 3 miles of a ballot drop-off location. Each ballot drop-off location will be staffed by 2 deputized election workers. Rigorous chain of custody procedures and auditing procedures are in place to protect the integrity of every ballot, whether voters choose to vote by mail or in person. In addition, Florida law does not allow people to be paid to collect mail ballots. Voters should not give their ballots to anyone they do not know or trust. If voters have any questions about the election process, including the security of their mail ballot, we encourage them to visit votepinellas.com or call our office at 464-VOTE for accurate information, because there's going to be a lot out there, and we want to make sure voters are directed to our website so that there's no misinformation. As you know, I've asked for a special appropriation to cover the cost in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This special appropriation request is on your board agenda for June 23rd. The request includes funds for mailing polling place changes to voters. As I stated earlier, we have 13 locations that have changed already. Mailing a postcard to every voter who does not have a mail ballot request on file, and paying for return postage for the primary election. Please know that the return postage for the general election is already included in my proposed fiscal 21 budget.
Julie?
Yes.
The changes to the polling places are primarily because they were nursing homes or long-term care facilities?
Yeah, so we obviously assisted living facilities. So we lost polling places the 6 days leading up to the presidential preference primary. We lost 12 polling places and hundreds of poll workers, which is why I came out with a big thank you in the beginning, because the county, Barry Burton, Jewel Silverboard was instrumental in helping us. And Jewel White, we even had county attorneys, and we even got some pre-registered voters out of it who served as poll workers. So it was really, like I said, it was this collaborative effort, and it was really cool how we all came together to make this election happen. And so moving forward, I know that there's a commitment by the county administrator to provide county employees for the primary and general election. And again, thank you to everyone to make our elections a success.
Commissioner Welch?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to thank the supervisor and both Ms. Marcus and Ms. Clark for their dedication to voting by mail. They were early leaders in that, and I think it served our county very well in turnout and access. I love what we're doing with the additional drop-off locations. So the number you gave us, Julie, was 400,000 folks received a postcard, folks that aren't on the vote by mail list now.
Yeah, so 42% of our current voter file has mail ballot requests on file. So the 400,000 are the folks who do not.
So how many of those have you built into your budget requests? How many of those do you expect to come on the vote by mail roll?
So we are shooting for, right now we're at a little over 285,000, and we're hoping to get to 320,000 requests.
And I would just hope if you get 100,000 people that want it, that we've got the budget to pay for that, because everything is linked together, right? And so I think about my 86-year-old mother, who I do not want going.
Yes.
I want her, and she's dedicated to vote by mail already, but with COVID and everything else, it just makes so much sense to push voting by mail as much as we can. I just wanted to thank you for your leadership on that. And I certainly would support any budget adjustment we need to make to accommodate that. And I just thank you for acknowledging me, Madam Chair. I told your office I need to step off for an interview that I couldn't change, but thank you so much for your leadership, Madam Supervisor.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Commissioner Eggers? Commissioner Eggers? You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if I'm supposed to unmute or if Brian unmutes or what's going on. So
I'll let you guys self-manage that.
Okay, we're going to self-manage. But I just also wanted to echo what Commissioner Welch said about the leadership that you all over the years have taken on mail ballots and then the drop-off sites. Could you describe just maybe what that drop-off site will look like as somebody's pulling up in a car? Is it just going to be a box, or is it going to be you said there's going to be 2 members there? Any deputies around, or what does that look like for folks?
So we, since 2008, we've provided ballot drop-off locations, and our ballot drop-off locations have always been staffed. That's critical because we want to make sure that we protect the integrity of the ballots and we want to make sure that they're safe. So at every single ballot drop-off location, you would go to, they're all government facilities, whether they're community centers, libraries, tax collectors' offices, or our offices. So they, all voters would then quickly go inside of the location. There's a little slot inside the, we are, we're very considerate of taxpayer dollars. So we use the ballot boxes that the DS200 scanners sit on. So we take the scanner out, obviously, we lock the top, and then there's a little slot where voters can just put their ballots in. Of course, every voter's asked, are the envelopes signed? Because we want to make sure that they're signed. And voters that go to ballot drop-off locations can get I voted stickers, and then they can get out quickly. So it's a good, easy way to, if you don't want to return your ballot by mail, to get in and out, to cast your ballot. And then of course, they're brought back to our offices by 2 deputized election workers. And then there's an auditing procedure and chain of custody procedures to ensure everything is, that the processes was conducted properly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. I just wanted to, one other question. And could you speak to the importance as folks are considering, doing it by mail and all of that, but also the importance of checking on their signature that they originally did to register as a voter, and making sure that that signature that was done maybe 20 years, 30 years ago is similar to the one now, and why that's important to all voters.
Yes, as you all are aware, you have served on the canvassing board and you're very familiar with this process of how we verify every signature. It's not a sampling, it's not just here and there. Every single signature of a return certificate envelope is verified. So that is part of keeping the integrity of the process in check and ensuring that the voter who returned the ballot is their signatures match. So our processes are that we verify those as a staff. There's other layers involved before they even go to the canvassing board for consideration, not to mention there's a cure process that the law provides for. So yes, signatures are very important. And believe it or not, it's not the folks who have signatures necessarily on file for 20 years or 30 years. It's our voters who may have signed their name when they first went to the driver's license office to get their driver's license, and then they graduate from college, or they're now signing documents to own a home and their signature changes. But across the board, voters just need to realize that how they sign their signatures on their voter registration applications, whether at the tax collectors' offices or in any other capacity, those documents are what we use to verify the signatures, not only on mail ballots, but also on initiative and candidate petitions. So it's really important to make sure that those are updated. If you have any doubt that your signature has changed, make the update. It's better be safe than sorry. For voters who are wondering, has my ballot been affected by this in any way, shape, or form when I voted in the past? If you have not received information from us through a letter or other means of contact as to whether or not you, in regard to your signature during an election, your ballot was tabulated and counted. If you did receive a letter from us during the election process concerning your signature, you were provided an opportunity to cure that signature during the election. And then after the election, we follow back up with voters to update their signatures, to the point where some voters have told us to stop contacting them. So we go out of our way to make sure that voters have current signatures on file, because obviously we want every vote to count, because it's the most important part of the process.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And again, I just want to say thank you to Commissioner Welsh in regard to our efforts for mail ballots. I think Pinellas County has really set itself up perfectly without knowing it for what we're facing this fall, which is a pandemic. Any way you look at it, it's a pandemic, and the primary concern is public health, realizing that we're conducting a presidential election, and we have to balance that. And it's going to take the community, every aspect of our community, to come together and say, what can I do to help with this process? And if you can vote at home and then allow for a safer environment for folks who have to vote in person, let's say for persons with disabilities or other considerations, then we're doing this together as a team, and we can have success here in Pinellas County and ultimately in Florida, and have successful elections nationwide. So we really are employing folks for that, to consider the mail ballot option.
Julie, we have another question or comment, or
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I apologize. My audio has been blipping in and out this morning, but I know you were talking about staffing levels for polling places, and I missed part of that. Could you just kind of really quickly again touch on that? But also the thought being that if we're not able to staff up fully for a full polling place day, what some alternate plans would be of super voting sites or expanded early voting sites, way to kind of, if the pressure valve is too much on voting day, to kind of spread that out besides the mail ballots.
Well, what we're doing is we're maintaining all of our polling places, which is spreading it out. Again, you're providing for smaller groups of people that are within their community, which allows for easy access. So that is the spread out concept, where, and plus on top of it, we don't have the authority under law to create super centers. But if you really think about the concept of spreading out and having local community polling places, you are keeping smaller groups of people spread out over a 12-hour period. And our concerns with poll workers is real. We saw it before the PPP. We're going to potentially see it as we see this uptick in COVID related cases. So it is a concern, which is why we're working very closely with the county administrator to help us make sure that we have enough poll workers to manage our polling places. But early voting is important piece of the puzzle. We have 5 locations, but we are really trying to limit that exposure to COVID-19. It is something that we have to take into consideration and be real. And so that is why mail ballots are so important to this process. And again, remember, there are 3 options. Early voting is one of them. Election day polling places would be the second best, and first and foremost would be mail ballots.
So does that mean if we're spreading out those polling places that you will reverse that horrendous decision of your predecessor and give me my polling place back?
Not only are we giving it back, it's going to be in your garage.
Excellent. I look forward to that.
All right.
And then everybody can come inside afterwards and
For coffee, yeah.
yeah, for coffee and so on and so forth. Yes. Commissioner.
All right. Anything else? Well, I guess you can go into your budget.
It basically, I just was finishing up on our special appropriations. As we stated in our memo, we're going to be applying for those CARES Act grant funds, which finally we received the paperwork from the Division of Elections yesterday afternoon. And to the extent possible, we're going to reimburse the county for those special appropriations funds. OMB will let us know how they want us to proceed with that. But I just wanted to tie that up with our special appropriation. So moving on to our proposed 21 budget, our base budget of $8.2 million is under the budget target. It was really important to us to make sure that we took into consideration, because when we submitted our budget on May 1st, we were in it when it came to COVID. We already were seeing how COVID was affecting tourism, how it was impacting businesses, unemployment. And we recognize that the county has lots of considerations when it comes to budgets. There are limited resources, whether it is what it is. There are only so many dollars. And we recognize that there's public health considerations, there's social programs, there's lots of things that the county administrators have to take into consideration. And I feel that our office we've only asked for what we need, and that we have built a trusting relationship. And we feel that our budget is appropriate, and it allows for, like I said, this is the most access that has ever been provided in Pinellas County going into these fall elections, considering that we are facing a pandemic. So I think it's really important for the public to understand that our budget is responsible, and it also takes into consideration what you as county commissioners are facing going into this fall. So our budget is 8.2. We came in under target, but there is a non-recurring expenditure that is called a decision package, but it's really not. It's $1.1 million. We have to purchase and install what we call express vote. It's 325 express vote units in their cases. Our current ADA voting solution, the Automark, which was purchased in 2007, is not going to be compatible with our voting system after the required software updates that we have to install are completed. The Express Vote is the only certified ADA marking device that can be used with our voting system. And Express Vote will provide voters with disabilities the continued option to vote independently and in private. So although it's large expenditure, we realize that it is absolutely necessary to ensure that our voters with disabilities can still vote independently and private. And this is the only solution to that.
Julie, I have a question about that. Is that something you have to do before the November election?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
So
good.
so we will still be using the Automarks that you're familiar with, that we use, that we test at the canvassing board meetings. But it's the same concept. It's a pen. It's a machine pen but it provides for an audio concept. It provides for persons with upper mobility disabilities, or it provides for a variety of different ADA solutions so voters can vote independently and private.
Great.
So that's my presentation. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. I look forward to working with each of you, as our partnership is invaluable. All of you serve on the canvassing board. This fall is going to be a lot, and it's going to take up a lot of time. There's going to be a lot of days, a lot of hours that are going to be involved in what we have to get done for the primary, and most especially the presidential general. Looking at 2018, we had 3 machine recounts, 2 manual recounts. The 2016 presidential election was very close. So going into the 2020 elections, we might see some more of that. So I'm open to any questions if anyone has any.
Commissioners, we do have Jason. Jason is the budget analyst for the Supervisor of Elections, working hand in hand with them. You do have the 2 appropriations that'll be, one appropriation will be for, as Supervisor just said, regarding for the 23rd. That will have a staff recommendation to approve. And we've worked hand in hand with them regarding their request. We think it makes the minimum needs for them to be able to be successful in the election. And then the second, the decision package. We'll be bringing back all the decision packages next month. However, as the supervisor just said, some are decision packages that are a request, but it's kind of hard to look at this as more than something that we really need to do, because it keeps them compliant, with our voting rights and being able to successfully run an election. So that will be part of our decision package that will be brought back in July, and it will have a staff recommendation for approval. But I would like Jason to cover any other budget points regarding the budget. And, we'll go on.
Good morning. Jason Rivera, Office of Management and Budget. Julie touched on everything I planned on speaking about, so I really don't have much of anything else to add. They came in under target, and everything that they have requested is, is important and necessary. So
I just want to make sure we didn't forget anything. But I will say that it is important. She's applying for grants. She's looking at that. She said if we get the grants, then that'll be returned to the general fund will be reimbursed for that. So, it's a good partnership. And I was very happy to partner with Supervisor of Elections to make sure that we had successful elections and utilizing county staff. Another big kudos to county staff for really stepping up. These are long days. We asked people, to volunteer to do that. We certainly didn't mandate it, but one of the most important things is that our elections go off, and she can't do that without help. So we want to make sure that they're successful, and I'm really proud of our employees for stepping up and volunteering to do that.
Yeah, I wanted to thank them for that too. That was pretty amazing that you guys were able to mobilize that quickly.
I know, Commissioner.
Literally overnight.
Yeah, Commissioner, you served on the canvassing board during the presidential preference primary, and it was like I said, it was unbelievable how it all came together. And here we are, the Monday before the election, we're having poll worker classes. You saw us with all your county employees. Learning the 101 of election law and making sure that our voters had a seamless process, that it was a positive voting experience. Because again, if we have voters, it's almost like I want to have like those little buttons that often the staple, that was easy, that they could push as they walk out the door. Because obviously if the process looks easy, if it looks simplified, they're going to come back and do it again. So it doesn't matter what goes on behind the scenes to make that happen. As long as the voter feels that, we won.
That was an amazing effort. And before we move off the supervisor's office, I just want to congratulate Commissioner Seal and Clerk Burke for being reelected unopposed. Yay. Okay. And moving on. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Be safe. Vote by mail.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, we have Clerk Burke.
Thank you, Commissioner Gerard, and thank you for that nice congratulations. It's nice to run against unopposed.
Yeah.
Good situation. Thanks for the opportunity to present the clerk's budget today. Lisa with the Office of Management and Budget will be following me with comments from her department. It's also tough act to follow with the Supervisor of Elections. Julie does a great job. We have some reports which we are hot off the press. We have our comprehensive annual financial report. This is a report which is the audited financial statements. It's a 211 pages long. It's a report which credit rating agencies use to rate our county. It's also used by bond debt folks to determine interest rates based on the financial statements that we offer there. And that's been something that we received a certificate of excellence for over 3 decades on, and something we're very proud of. Then we've also issued what's called the annual financial report. This report is even longer than the other one. It's approximately 300 pages long. And this report, in addition to everything that's in the CAFR, has the financial statements for each of the constitutional officers. This is a report which is required by state statute to be submitted. But what we've done, and we've printed these things up, and they're hot off the press. And commissioners, this is something I hope that y'all use. This is a very short document which goes into a abbreviated form and it's a lot of colors in here. You'll recognize these folks. Those are the commissioners with the nice pictures of our Board of County Commissioners there. And it also gives financial highlights in a easy to see form for citizens to look at in charts, rather than with the typical financial statements, me being a CPA, that I like to read. And it even takes an example here of a City of Largo resident, since we have the former mayor of Largo here before us. And we took a typical City of Largo resident and how their property tax dollars, where they go, whether they go to the city, the county, the school board, juvenile welfare board, other authorities. We broke that down again using a dollar bill in a graphic that shows it, easy graphic. A lot of great data as far as how the county's budget is spent. And so, commissioners, these are going to be, a copy is going to be delivered to each of you. And if you let us know how many copies you would like, and throughout the year, if you would like more copies, we'll get them to you. Great to give out to citizens. It's a citizen's guide to our county finance presented in a very easy to understand format for non-accountants. So that's something we're very proud of. We've submitted this for the Award of Excellence, and we've received that recognition. So those will be on your desk here at the county building, and let us know how many copies you would like. And again, during the year, use them as much as you would like and give them to citizens to understand our county finances. Mr. Berger is coordinating with me today on our PowerPoint. Bill, are we ready to show the PowerPoint?
Yep.
He's very efficient. Let's go to the next slide. This shows the various entities within the clerk's office. We have a total of 515 employees in the clerk's office. Most of the employees are not funded by the county. They're either through self fees through our recording department or through our court operation, which is regulated by the state. I hesitate to say funded by the state because it's really not funded by the state at all. Next slide, please, Bill. Some of the things that we were asked to talk about was how our office has been affected by the pandemic. We have had, the clerk's office has remained open. All of our offices that are open to the public usual have remained open to the public. That's because of the nature of the business that we do. Domestic violence injunctions, marriage license, the recording department, other due process rights all have to be honored even during the pandemic time. And so we have stayed open, and our employees have been very dedicated, working front counters, dealing with citizens, coming in for these services. And I'm very proud of our employees and the great demeanor they've had throughout this process. We were able to get 200 of our 500 employees working at home. And it was interesting, and some lessons were learned about working from home and also not being able to work from home. A lot of systems statewide, especially in dealing with FDLE and so forth, don't allow for remote working, never considering a pandemic. And so those types of things, infrastructure things, are going to have to be looked at in the future. Downloads that only can be done from here. So it was an interesting process that each of us had to deal with, and many challenges. I do want to talk about the CARES Act. One of the things that we've done as a result of the pandemic is carry out your program of awarding business grants. So far, over 1,800 checks have been issued, representing $7.5 million have been dispersed to businesses in Pinellas County by the clerk's office and working with your economic development office and getting us the approved applications. We then do our pre-audit, and within 95% range, we get a check out within 5 days. And when I say 5 days, that's 5 real days. That includes a Saturday and Sunday if it's in between. If we get something on Thursday and issue the check on Monday, that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we count all those days. So that's pretty phenomenal, our turnaround time on that. And our accounts payable staff has done a great job on that. There's probably 1,400 applications still over in economic development that are being worked on. Some have inadequate information, waiting for additional information, or being reviewed before being sent to the clerk's office for disbursement. So that gives you an idea of the potential additional disbursements that may be made out there. Next slide, Bill. This shows the various aspects of the clerk's office, the services that we provide, and our budget request. We are above our target by $853,000. I'm going to get into that a little bit later in the presentation, but I wanted to make sure that's pointed out. I also want to point out that the clerk's office does collect $6.5 million of court-related revenues that are turned over to the county for specific programs. Some of these are very specific, where the county doesn't have a lot of say-so over how they're dispersed. But they're funded through various county programs, and so I want to let you know about those fees. Next slide, please. This talks about some of the roles that the clerk's office, the clerk has under the Constitution of the state of Florida. It's the oldest constitutional office in the state, and our responsibilities for the investment, dispersing of all funds, and also custodian of all funds, and publishing and putting together our county's financial statements. Our next slide is about the numbers of the clerk's office. Some of the things you receive a quarterly investment report from the clerk's office. This is a joint function. Y'all are the entity that approves the investment policy. Okay, that's your role in our investments. It's a clerk's role to actually do the investments. We've been averaging over $1 billion of investments during this past year. Obviously, it's a flow because sometimes, prior to the tax money coming, the property tax money, it's our lowest point, and then when the tax money comes in, it's the highest point. But it's been over $1 billion, I think, the entire year. We take this very seriously, making sure that every tax dollar which is received, we can account for, and we also can return. There's no loss on the investments. So that's our biggest thing, is making sure that the integrity of the dollar is there. Next, that it's liquid, so that if the funds are needed, they can be spent. And then third is the return on the money. We're also working with OMB in a joint responsibility on bond issues. Our county is very low as far as amount of debt compared to other counties of our size. This is something you always see from our auditor when they present make their presentation. But we only have 6 debt issues in Pinellas County. All are related to sewer debt through our enterprise funds, but they take a good amount of work to make sure that we keep in compliance with all our bond issues. The payroll obviously paying all our employees under the Board of County Commission and the Clerk's Office. Over 91,000 disbursements are made in that each year, and also paying all the invoices. And when we talk about invoices, these are not simple invoices. You take our waste facility out by the interstate, and the maintenance of that, and how the contracts, which are extremely complex, as the county attorney can tell you, or on construction projects, the complexity of those. It takes a tremendous amount of review to make sure that the payments are accurate, that they're reflecting what the contract calls for, that the milestones are met, and our staff takes this very seriously. Also, our state grants that we receive, there's what's called the Single Audit Act, which we're responsible for issuing that report. That's a separate report that we have to issue based on federal grants being received. And this is federal grants received by any of our entities, including the sheriff and the supervisor of election, who does receive some of these grants, as County Administrator Burton just referred to a little earlier. Also, our Inspector General's office issues reports and recommendations, and there's great cooperation with the county, and I give Administrator Burton and the former county administrators credit for working with us on this. There was not always that cooperation of being audited by the Inspector General, but that has, in the last 10 to 12 years, that really has turned around, and it's a good relationship, and it's a positive for everyone, the taxpayers of Pinellas County, the department's being audited because it's a cooperative effort, and to make things better. Next slide, please. The financial reporting, I showed you the actual reports. These are just pictures of those reports, but we're very proud of the certificate of excellences we've received for the many years. And let me tell you, these mean more than just a certificate. They actually, in the bond rating, they take this into account for your the interest rate determination. So by having the certificate of excellence, you get credit for that and a reduced interest rate on our bond issue. So that matters a lot, that you have this certificate of excellence. The next item is more about our investments and the reports that we issued. This is something we also take very seriously. A great example is the last 4 months. 4 months ago, we were receiving, you could have bought a commercial paper in the area of 200 basis points return, which was a good rate of return. That same commercial paper today would be around 30 basis points. You see the Federal Reserve Chairman just announced the other day that he expects interest rates to remain low for the foreseeable future, the long-term foreseeable future, which means that, and we're talking 25 basis points. So we're talking a a great reduction in our investment earnings compared to the past 2 years. It also means we have to be very astute in making sure that we're trying to get the maximum we can as far as return while keeping safety in consideration. We just bought, I think, 2 issues of federal agencies yesterday or in the last few days, paying in the area of 40 basis points. So that's considering the Fed rates on treasuries, it's like 25 basis points, and we're getting 40 basis points. That's darn good in a low interest rate environment. Next slide, please. This is really, again, getting into the budget part. Why are we asking for above our targeted amount? Commissioner Seal was very helpful in asking very pointed questions when I appeared before you several years ago, talking about the state of our financial division. Although their product was wonderful and is wonderful and remains to be wonderful, we had some employee problems in our finance division. Not any behavior problems, but morale. The employee voice survey, which we took very seriously, showed our finance division had the lowest scores in the whole clerk's office. And the employees were very pointed out deficiencies, not getting mentoring, not enough time for development. They weren't feeling that they weren't being professionally developed. They weren't given the chance to spend time with their managers to help explain procedures and processes. And so what we did, and Commissioner Seal, you were part of helping us do this, we asked the personnel department to do a study rather than pay some outside operation. We had the talent within our personnel department of the county, and they did a study. Y'all have copies of that was given to you several years ago. The study's like 200 pages long, very thorough, comparing us with other like-sized counties and determination of how we were understaffed. And they came back with the conclusion that our finance division was understaffed by 24 positions. Our attrition rate at the finance division has not been good. We have a lot of folks who've left a lot. Matter of fact, we have a whole alumni club who now work for Barry, who used to work in the finance division of the clerk's office. A lot of county departments hire our people out there, and our people were looking to get out because they weren't seeing growth in the clerk's office. And also the pressure of the work pressure that we had on them. So back in 2018, we started an effort to increase by asking gradual amounts. We asked for 3 positions. We were awarded in 18, 3 positions in 2019. You may be asking why we didn't request positions last year. You'll see 0 for that. The reason was we were in a period of tremendous transition. Claretha was retiring. Fred Dean had retired the year before, and we hired someone to fill his spot. That person, wonderful man, wonderful person. Unfortunately, he got diagnosed with cancer and died 6 months later. And so that wasn't the time to add positions. We needed to figure out how, with a new director, deputy director, what's the best organizational structure. And that's why we didn't ask for positions last year. We do have an organizational structure in place, and it's requiring 5 additional positions. That is the bulk of the reason for the budget request we're making. I will tell you also this, as far as finance is concerned, the financial positions are extremely difficult to find, to recruit for. The number of folks with accounting degrees has gone down in this country. And we're competing against private sector CPA firms. I'll give you an anecdotal story. We know someone who left his CPA firm. We thought he would be an excellent fit for our clerk's office. We offered him a 6 digit figure there, which we thought was very, very competitive. And he basically, I don't want to say laughed at us, but said he couldn't possibly accept that low position dollar amount. And within 2 weeks of him leaving his firm, he got recruited by 3 other firms and was hired at a salary that he was adequate for him. So that's what we're competing against. We're competing against the other municipalities, the other government entities. The accounting positions are extremely difficult to fill right now. And there has to be a work-life balance. There has to be some departments that people want to work in. And so that's the challenges that we're facing. We're also facing with 4 of our 6 managers are in the retirement program in the next few years. 3 of our supervisor staff are also in the retiree program, and 3 of our very long-term vital employees who are experts at what they do are all going to be leaving us. And so this is part of the succession planning too that we need to do to make sure that we can perform the duties that we need to perform. Next page, please, Bill. And this shows you the dollars amount that we're requesting. The $853,000 is based on the 5 new positions. And because of all those retirees coming up, we have a succession plan to double encumber these positions and allow the cross-training, the necessary transfer of data and information and expertise and subject matter expertise to the new folks. So we want to hire these folks earlier than later and get them to shadow that the people that they're going to be succeeding. This is just so critical. You know, the financial integrity of any government, if you lose that, you lose, you just erodes confidence in the government. And we have some big challenges in our finance division, not only with making sure we attract the right help, but also there's some big GASB pronouncements. That's the Government Accounting Standards Board, which determines how we do our financial statements. And I know it's not exciting to talk about, but GASB 87 is a pronouncement that has been approved that we will have to implement in Pinellas County, and it's re-identifying expenses into capitalization leases. I know, again, this is boring stuff to the non-financial person, but we've identified over 200 items that will need to be reclassified from expense and looked at to see if they need to be capitalized as leases. This takes an incredible amount of work. We're going to have to work with all the county departments, OMB, to accomplish this, but it's also going to take a tremendous amount of accounting resources to make that happen. Next slide, please. Here are we list the positions that we're asking for. The increase in, again, we wouldn't be asking for these if they weren't vital to the work that we have to accomplish in our finance division. We have some other things we want to mention. We talk about in the next slide the role that we do as clerk to the board, all the various responsibilities we have under statute. Matter of fact, Florida statute has 1,000 places in statute where it says the clerk shall do something. There's 1,000 duties that Florida statute has on the clerk, plus all the ordinances which we work with you on cooperatively, which give responsibility to the clerk. The next are just some highlights we did from our board records department. We're very proud of our board records department. Next slide, please, Bill. Shows you that we take minutes for over 19 boards, the number of minutes, the advertisements we place in the paper, which have to be right because they're very costly, the value adjustment board, which we staff, and Commissioner Eggers is chair of that. Commissioner Welch is on that now. Commissioner Gerard, you were our last chair of that, so you know the work that we do with the value adjustment board and the hearings and the detail of that we goes fairly flawlessly. We also issue 1,487 permits. Most of those are dock permits, and then we issue some home solicitation permits. Here are some of the other services we do with our printing. You know, this nice publication I pointed to earlier comes from our print shop. We do printing for all the county government, the constitutionals, other agencies within county government. They do a magnificent job and they do it right. The mail service that we do, which you fund, close to 1 million pieces of mail that we process for county government and the court system. Our records management, you know that it used to be years ago, Commissioner Seals probably and Welch are the only ones probably still on the commission where y'all had your own records department. It was expensive to maintain. And Steve Spratt came to me and said, y'all are the record keepers. Why don't you take over this department? We'll fund you. They did fund us at a way reduced amount than what y'all were paying for your own department, because we were able to have efficiencies. And this has worked extremely well. This goes back over 12 years we've been doing this. And that's a contract service that we have with y'all, or a memorandum of understanding, whatever it is, where we take care of all the county department's records rather than y'all having to hire record people like you used to. That concludes my report. Now I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to give her budget analysis from ONB perspective. Lisa?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Berg. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Lisa Burley. I'm with the Office of Management and Budget, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the budget. I will share my screen. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll talk a little bit about the purpose, but I think Mr. Burke covered it very well about the mandates of Revision 7, Article 5 of the Constitution, and all of the various responsibilities to not only the court system and legal community, but the Board of County Commissioners as well. And I'll talk a little bit about the funding a little bit later on. One decision package he previously discussed was for the 5 positions, and then the transitioning of those that are in retirement. And that was based on the, as he said, the plan that was performed back in 17-18 to improve the workload management of the clerk's office. So that would be a one-time cost of $853,240, and then recurring cost of $629,240.
Lisa, thank you for mentioning that not all that 853 is recurring. There's only a portion of it which is recurring.
Yes.
So that's very important. So next year we would not be asking for that, the double encumbrances amount. Thank you. That's important.
Yes, you're welcome. This year's ask is $13,561,140. And that is within target, not including the decision package. And it is 3.1% over last year's budget, which is consistent with the target, of course, excluding the decision package. And in the staffing, here you can see the number of staffing. There hasn't been much change since 2019. They have 123.1 now. They would be adding 5 if the decision package were approved, based on the plan done back in 17-18. The change in personnel services really weren't significant because where there was an increase in executive salaries, there was also a decrease in regular salaries because of the transition of 2 positions that went to exempt status rather than classified, in order to realign their department for better organizational enhancement. Operating cost increased by $12,000, just under 1%, and was attributed to various things. One was the Inspector General cell phone stipend to keep them in touch. The second, which was an important, was wireless hotspots to improve the continuity of operation for Department Essential staff, rather than wait till the event of an emergency when it would be difficult to deploy them at that time. The capital outlay was decreased by $25,600, 16.7%, due to non-recurring replacement of equipment. And here you have a graph of the various divisions that represents what portion and this of each of the funding. This is the county funding, the 13 million that is spread out by the various services within the clerk's office. And on one of your attachments, it'll give you each division and how many staff are in that particular section if you're interested in looking at that as well. The state, as Mr. Burke mentioned earlier, it's a large portion of the court system is state funded. Well, a portion of it, 22.1 million, which represents 61.9% of the complete total operations. And of the 13.6 million that the board funds, 47% is by state authorized fees, fines, recording fees, and trust funds. And that also includes a 3.5% revenue stream dedicated by the court operations. And of course, the county has statutory responsibilities, including support for the court technology, which require general fund support. And Mr. Burke has touched on the COVID-19 impacts. So that concludes our budget summary.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Just one other factor too. I want, I guess, bragging on the clerk's office here. I guess that's what part of what we do during these budget presentations. Oh, and Commissioner Welch, welcome back, because this will be of interest to you, and I know Commissioner Seal, because you all have a bit long history in this. But Oracle support is extremely expensive. I think it's over $2 million a year. We work very cooperative with BTS and Director Roars in working to reduce that this past year, and I think it saved close to $500,000 of fees that we normally pay Oracle in a cooperative effort. And that's just so important, because in the clerk's office, we are tentacles out there on a lot of different things with the Board of County Commissioners and with BTS. And I think that cooperation of working together, model government that we have in Pinellas County, it's a compliment to y'all as commissioners, to Administrator Burton and BTS. But there was $500,000 saved, not out of the clerk's budget, but out of the things that you'll have to fund. And it shows the cooperative effort of how we make good things happen. And we're also working, and Administrator Burton can tell you this, to see if maybe the days of Oracle are numbered and we need to look at a better situation that is more effective in the future. This also will involve tremendous cooperation. And this is done because we work well together. So I think it's a compliment to all of us. Maybe I'm patting all of us on the back here on this to make sure that we do what's best for the taxpayers here. So,
Commissioner, if I could add to that, I mean, to the clerk, the BTS, which is coming up here in the budget, myself, we sat down and talked about this with Jeff Roars and us working together and really talking about coming up with a strategic plan. And we'll be working with the BTS board to truly map out that future, you know, and because it's not just an issue of replacing systems, but getting on common platforms, being able to support that, and then finding the best way to support that, whether it's a hosted solution internally. It affects so many different areas, the clerk staff, our staff, BTS staff. And so having that cooperative relationship and really setting a path forward on the way in which we evaluate and make decisions regarding IT services, critically important. I appreciate the clerk taking the lead and pulling us all together and to be able to advance that effort. And so we do look forward to a lot more discussions on that. And then the final piece that I'd just like to say, and we'll open it up, is, you know, we're going to be bringing back recommendations specifically to the clerk's request for the additional positions. That is under consideration right now. Clerk and I met, we're talking about that, and that'll be back to you here in July.
Yes, Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Burke, I had to come back to hear you talk about Oracle. I could not miss that. But I wanted to thank you for always asking the tough questions. And it's amazing that we've come full circle on Oracle and gone through that wave of technology and maybe looking at the next wave. But we were going down the path of third-party resourcing for that support. And you asked some very tough but pertinent questions that led us on the path we're on now, and included that $500,000 in savings. So I just wanted to thank you for always being willing to take a look at those tough issues. I'm looking forward to what the next phase is.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. And I have to tell you, you look dapper today. I like the bow tie.
Well, I have to clean up sometimes.
I don't know how to tie that, or else I would do it.
Commissioner Seal.
Yes, just curious. I had pushed the raise hand button. Did you see that? Are you
No.
able to see that?
I saw it, Commissioner Seal. I didn't want to interrupt the proceedings, but I should have told the chair that you had done that virtually.
Oh, I just didn't know what your preference was. A hand raise like this, okay, Commissioner Gerard?
Well, when there's a presentation up, just go ahead and start talking because I can't see anything. But otherwise, a hand raise is better. I don't see hand raises. Do I?
Okay.
Brian?
Yeah, when the presentation's on the screen, you're generally seeing just the presentation and then the one person in the window. So what I would do is just either call out, or if you do raise your hand virtually, I can interrupt the board chair and say, you know, we have somebody that wants to speak. I apologize for not doing that, Commissioner Seal.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's no problem. I just kind of wanted to clarify what the process was so that I did it properly.
Okay.
Mr. Burke, thank you very much. And I also want to offer congratulations on your reelection. Well deserved. You have done a great job as the clerk of the court. over the years, and I only have a couple questions. And one is for the Inspector General's report, if I recall, they charge the departments for the time that it takes to do the reports. Is that correct? How much revenues do you collect from?
That, no, that would be OMB does a cost to allocation, but that doesn't go back to revenue to the clerk's office. Bill, do you want to address how y'all do that?
Yes, as the clerk said, that is part of the cost allocation plan. So the clerk provides information that allows us to be able to distribute costs to those who derive the benefit from that Inspector General report. But that's
Okay.
not revenue that goes directly to the clerk. That comes back into the general fund as a reimbursement.
Correct, but then it in turn kind of funds some of the operations. So,
Yes.
and also, do you charge for printing?
Yes, we do. It's yes, to the departments that they get charged, and it's below. We check to see, are we below market, and we are. We offer a good value on the printing services.
I knew you offered a very good value, but I just wanted to clarify that there is some revenue that goes back to the general fund that helps to fund these operations.
That's
okay.
correct. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Clerk Burke, I don't want to be repetitive, but I have to say your presentations are always so thorough and so thoughtful, and I appreciate the hard work that you put into it. Not only that, but when you make recommendations to us about how we can be better. My question to you is, I can't see you now. Why is that? All I can see is Commissioner Gerard. Are you there, Clerk Burke?
I'm still here, and I can see.
Oh, there you are.
Along.
Okay, good.
My fellow Seminole resident there.
Yeah, I appreciate that I can talk to you now. And my question is, it's concerning about the comments you started out with when you were talking about your employees and the ability to hire and retain really competent folks, especially when working on the issues of our finances for our entire county. And while you did talk about the folks that are in the pipeline to retire soon, how far out are you looking at those folks? Because we all know that government salaries are never going to be quite competitive with the private sector. That said, there are some areas that require enormous competence, and we've got to be able to recruit. So were you part of that evergreen study that looked at all of the issues in your area, or no?
As far as the classified staff, they were reviewed by the Evergreen study. We were not pleased with the Evergreen study.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of us weren't.
And so we opted out of the exempt Evergreen study because we just saw it creating more conflict than help. To your question about the retirees, those folks that I mentioned, almost all of them are within the next year that we're talking about, that they're going to be leaving the clerk's office and earning their well-due retirement. And I hope none of my comments got misconstrued because I may have said it poorly, but we have wonderful people who work in our finance division who are tremendously able, professional, take their jobs very seriously. And that's why we are able to produce these things. We just have to make a better work environment. And it has. This process, HR has helped us by coming in and having a plan for us. When back in 2016, 17, when we got the bad grades in our employee voice survey, we came up with a plan. HR came in. We have monthly meetings. We formed teams. We formed an action plan, and we've been carrying that out. Adding the additional positions, mentoring, hopefully adding these 5 positions are all part of that plan to make for a better work environment for the clerk's office in the finance division. So we've been taking the necessary steps. When you get a bad grade on your report card, you have to do something, and we did.
Amen to that. And my next question, this is my last one for you. The crowded conditions that you were experiencing in your offices over in the Justice Center, has that issue improved?
No, but what's going to happen? I want to thank again the county. We're just just this past few weeks, they're putting partitions up, these glass partitions that are 2 feet high in our cubicles because there's just no space out there, especially with the construction has started out there. And so the county's been very good. I want to, Mr. Laura has been a tremendous help, and we're getting 2-foot partitions put in all of our cubicles so that the employees have that protection, because a lot of these are our court assistance employees. They're the ones who work in the courtroom. They can't work remotely. They have to be here. So, I mean, they need desks to work at between their time in the courtroom, and they're very close to each other. And so the partitions are going to be helpful, and that's good. And our employees feel good about those. They've all been fitted. They haven't been installed yet, but they're being installed in the next few weeks. And again, this county facilities has been tremendous in this effort. I appreciate you asking that question.
Well, I have worried about them since we've all been in lockdown, because I recognize how close they all were, and I wanted to make sure they were going to be okay and be safe.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Seal?
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to ask you, Mr. Burke, about the double encumbrance. I'm
Yes.
sure for each one of the 5 positions, the timing will differ, but how long do you expect each position to be double encumbered?
I have
week?
Jeanette here with me, and she's going to help me answer that question because she developed that plan on the double encumbrance. You want to just come over here and answer it? Sit down, Jeanette.
Hey, Jeanette.
Hi, how
Good
are
morning.
you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Depending on each position, it's anywhere from 3 to 9 months. The more complicated positions we have with a 9-month overlap, and then the more technician level positions are closer to a 3-month overlap. So it just depends on the position, but each one is prorated based on the need for the cross-training timeline.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette.
You're welcome.
Any more questions for the clerk's office? Yes, Commissioner Eggers.
Commissioner Eggers, you're muted. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'll probably, by the time we get done with this, I'll have figured it out. Anyway, I wanted to congratulate you, Ken, on the re-election, so to speak, but really on your department. Just amazing the work that you do, the breadth and depth of your employees, the skill sets and integrity. But I certainly wanted to call out, just for our residents, your Inspector General's office, because I just when I first got here, I couldn't believe that we, in a sense, had an internal auditor that watches over our operation on behalf of the residents, and the work that they've done. We get reports from you guys all the time. I think Commissioner Long mentioned it a minute ago. You frequently show us ways that we can improve operations, and certainly fiscal accountability issues are important. But you actually get into the operation of any particular department, making sure that we're doing it right and that we have the right people doing it. So the residents need to understand that we are audited annually, but we have somebody else that's working on their behalf every day to make sure that we're transparent and that we're doing things the right way. So really an important part of what you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Eggers. And I want to point that Inspector Hector Collazo is actually retiring as of June 30th. So only another week here. And we're going to miss him, but we have a good person who's in our succession management within the Inspector General's office to take his place. But thanks for those kind comments, and he will especially appreciate those. Thank you. And I will point out again, we couldn't have an effective Inspector General's office without the cooperation of the county. If they fought us on this every step of the way, it would make for a bad relationship, and that has happened in the distant past. But Administrator Burton and his team, they look at this as, no one welcomes the audits. I don't want to go that far, but they look at it as a necessary part to make government better in Pinellas County.
Okay. Anything else for the clerk? Okay.
Thank you, Chair Gerard. I appreciate your courtesy.
All right. Next up,
Next up, we have the Office of Technology and Innovation, and
Right.
Bill Berger is the both the director and the analyst for this area.
Good morning again, commissioners. First, I'm going to introduce Belinda Amundsen, who is the Strategic Performance Analyst supporting OTI. And also we obviously have, as you well know, Brian Zumwalt, who's the Director of OTI when he's not doing his technology moderator role that I like to refer to as Oz.
Thanks, Bill.
And I'm going to share the screen so that Belinda can walk through the first part of the presentation.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Good morning. OTI has worked to identify meaningful key performance metrics over the 3 segments of the department, which includes enterprise architecture, technical support, and business support. Most of the metrics for technical support, such as the Priority 1 and Priority 2 tickets in compliance with their service level agreement, are not currently available. OTI is anticipated to implement the necessary technology in ServiceNow the summer of this year in order to start tracking that data. So we should see that data start coming out around the fall of this year. And because the business support segment focuses on project-related efforts, their measures are actually tracked as % completion for the initiatives and their corresponding milestones. As far as the COVID-19 impacts on performance, so far there's been little to no negative effects on this department. If anything, the department has mentioned that due to the staff telecommuting, which really gives them the opportunity to focus on their work, their initiatives either remain on track or may have even gotten a little bit ahead of schedule. And with that, Bill, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thanks, Belinda.
You're welcome.
So as far as OTI overall, I didn't introduce exactly what OTI is, but the Office of Technology and Innovation is dedicated to providing software support services to the Board of County Commissioner and specifically County Administrator departments. So all the departments under the County Administrator receive services from OTI, and these had previously been provided by BTS until a couple of years ago when we split this function off to be able to give the County Administrator more direct control and influence over exactly what the technology projects were and technology solutions were that were supporting his departments. So as far as opportunities and threats, there is as Barry mentioned a little bit earlier, a work on a countywide technology strategic plan that both Brian and Jeff Roars are working on, and that'll help be able to inform what our path is moving forward. And part of that path moving forward is identifying and understanding what is the transition in the marketplace to cloud-based applications doing for us, what are the recruitment needs, related to those changes as well. There's also opportunities to improve capabilities for doing better with the data that we have. We have scores of data, literally just an unimaginable amount of data available to us. The problem is, how do we actually use that data and mine that data in a way that helps us be able to support decision tools, and in a way that be able to help common users be able to do that work. And I think one of the great examples that you see of that is the COVID-19 data dashboard that you see, where we've pulled in data, not only our own, but also from external sources to be able to help support decision-making that you're making on a day in, day out basis regarding our public health. Other opportunities are looking at project management as a model. Because of the change to cloud-based services, most of the work that's being done in implementation is managing projects, as opposed to actually implementing a new software that we're configuring and designing ourselves. So that's something that we need to look at and continue to work with BTS in partnering on where are those resources being deployed from and what's the appropriate level of resources in each organization. And then finally, looking ahead, there are some major software systems that we've been in the midst of and or have recently implemented. The major one that has not been addressed quite yet is CHEATIS. And CHEATIS is one that falls under OTI's purview, and that's something that was implemented getting on nearly 10 years ago. And it is getting to the point where we do need to look at what does the future look like for that technology solution, just like we talked about for Opus, which falls under the purview of BTS. So moving on to the numbers. And I'll say at the start, this first thing that you see here at the top of the screen This is the overall OTI department budget, and there are a couple of things that make this relatively confusing if you look at and try to figure out what the trends are.
Bill, we're not seeing the numbers, Bill. Are you sharing a different screen?
On the next page.
Well, let me take a look again. Oh, it says it's paused. I'm not sure why.
Yep, mine's on pause too.
Okay, I'm going to stop the share and then I'm going to reshare. So if you give me a second here, or actually, how's that? Are you seeing it now?
Yeah.
There it is.
Good.
Okay, sorry about that. I knew what I was seeing. I didn't know what you were seeing, obviously. So thanks for helping me with that technology. The numbers at the top of the screen, as I was trying to reference, if you look at those on a year-by-year basis, they're going to be very confusing in terms of trying to track trends. There are two major reasons for that. One is that while OTI is relatively simple as a department in terms of the way that the funding works, you really need to look at it in three different sections, which we'll walk through together. The second reason is because of the fact that OTI is new, effective the FY19 budget. So when you look at the FY17 and 18 actuals, these are actually reflective of costs that were a part of BTS. And as a result of that, you're looking at historical costs that are not consistent with the costs that you're going to see in years 19 and beyond. So getting to the individual sections, what I want to be able to walk through is this three different cost centers that we use to account for the services that are provided by OTI. So the first one is their personal services and operating expenses for their recurring operations. This is basically the regular day-to-day work that they do in supporting applications that are up and running and in maintenance mode, so to speak. So in that cost center, what you're seeing happen is personal services bumped up by almost a quarter for the FY21 request, and that's for three different reasons. The first one is a salary impact for two positions that are being realigned from their project cost center as those projects went live. So you're going to see this on a recurring basis each year, where as we complete major projects with technology implementations, things like CityWorks and Acela as examples, what you're going to see is some positions that are dedicated to the project will then transition into recurring costs. And that's what you're seeing with this almost $200,000 salary impact. The second bullet is describing a new position that really is not even a new position. It's a position that existed in BTS in terms of functions being provided back before the split. And BTS was providing the support for them in the beginning phases of the split. But once OTI was up and running and becoming more mature, there was a realization that having a dedicated project manager or contract manager for all of the contracts that we have with those cloud-based applications was necessary in order to be able to make sure that it was being directed to focus on the things that OTI was focusing on, instead of being a resource that was deployed from another department. So what we've done is we've actually realigned funding to be able to support that recurring need from BTS's budget. So BTS reduced their request by $112,000 to accommodate that request to be able to bring that position on board on a full-time basis in OTI. The last one, and you heard about the Evergreen study, the Evergreen study did have impacts, and because 25 of the 26 positions within OTI are exempt, when the exempt phase was implemented this year, that had an impact on almost every position within OTI because they're all exempt. And the average increase was about 15% moving up from the pay grade midpoint. So that had a total impact of about $221,000, which in relative terms is one of the biggest impacts that we saw of all the departments. But again, that's expected when you have an area that's difficult to recruit, difficult to be able to retain staff in terms of competing with the marketplace, and also has almost every position that's been impacted by that study. Moving on to operating expenses within that particular cost center, you had an almost 60% decrease relative to the current year's budget. And almost all of that was a result of really taking a look at what expenses are in that operating expense area and what's going to make sense moving forward. And the major change was in this first bullet with respect to other contractual services. And really that's for the unanticipated needs that come up during the year. So technology moves extremely quickly, as you all know. We didn't even know that we're going to be using Zoom when we started this fiscal year, let alone when we developed the budget last year at this time for this fiscal year. So we do have needs to be able to have flexibility to bring on new technologies as they're identified. What we did realize, though, is that we were in effect in a situation where we may have been double counting, because as we get to the next cost center's budget, you'll see that there is recurring funding that's provided to OTI to be able to address those unanticipated needs. So in recognizing that, we reduced that amount, and that's the reason primarily for that large decrease. And then finally, the PC replacement schedule has a small fiscal impact, but that does move up and down each year based on the cycle. Your second cost center is your BCC strategic projects, and that's where all the projects that are ongoing come and go throughout each year. And this is going to have a lot of variability to it. So when you look at the costs that are captured in this budget, you're going to see large swings up and down. It's very much like CIP budgets where you see large swings up and down. So that one is the primary reason that when we looked at that other chart that you saw big swings up and down from year to year. And the current projects that you see captured in there are EAM or CityWorks and the 4 Acela modules. And as I noted, there's a 61% decrease versus the FY20 budget, and that's almost $10 million. And that's because of those big changes as we wind down the major projects of CityWorks and the first Acela module that we're implementing of Civic Platform that's supporting planning and DRS. And then finally, the last cost center is our enterprise license and maintenance, and that's basically our recurring expenses for maintaining the licensing for all the applications that we have. That one has a large increase this year because of some major changes, again, in transitioning from that prior cost center we talked about for projects and moving those things into our recurring mode. So that includes our CityWorks platform, the Acela Civic platform that we mentioned, as well as Socrata, which you heard mentioned during the OMB presentation that's being used for our performance management. Questiga, which you heard us talk about also during the budget process presentation, and that is our new budget software that we're implementing. BuySpeed, which Joe Lauro might talk about a little bit during his presentation for admin services, that supports our procurement process and makes sure that we have much better competition from vendors through an online marketplace. And then finally, with respect to applicant tracking, recruiting, and onboarding, we're looking at an enhanced solution that may be either a new version of Taleo that we're using right now or a different solution entirely. And that has an estimated cost of $50,000. When you put all those together, that's where that increase of $1 million is being generated. Finally, getting down to the staffing summary. As I noted, there's an addition of 1 FTE for this year, but that is a realignment of funds from BTS. There's no net cost to the county associated with that change. And then we've highlighted a couple of other changes to reconcile what's different between FY19 and FY21. And nearly every one of those changes, as I noted, are realignments and or transitioning from a project. And with that, I'll turn it over to Brian for any kind of comments he might want to share as far as some of the operational priorities and impacts that he's experiencing.
Sure. Thank you, Bill. First of all, commissioners, thank you. It's not often I get to moderate a BCC meeting and participate in it, so I appreciate the opportunity. You know, the one thing I'll mention about OTI, we're about 2.5 years into this experiment where we peeled off of BTS. The partnership between BTS and OTI continues to remain extremely strong. Jeff Roars and I are in contact almost on a daily basis on issues between the two departments. You know, some of the challenges that I see coming up in the future here, which I think, you know, will have impacts to both teams. You know, we continue talking about, you know, these recurring costs that are coming into our budget for things like Acela or other, you know, cloud services that we're going and procuring from the marketplace. You know, over the last 5 years, I feel like in the IT realm, especially on the private sector, there's been a shift in business strategy from, you know, selling a government entity a license that then the government owns in perpetuity, where we install and maintain and build that solution in our own, on our own capital, on our own infrastructure. We're now in this mode, you know, where we're going from, and I guess the analogy I would use is kind of the design, build, operate, maintain, which you guys are familiar with on the capital side. We're kind of going from that model to more of a rent, lease, use model. And that's really shifting the way that we've done IT for the last at least 15 years of our existence. You know, the days of bringing in the high-powered programmers that cost us $150,000 a pop, you know, to go and build a piece of software for a particular application over a period of a year or two, those are gone, and that's quite frankly where I grew up in my career. Where I see IT going, and I think Jeff can talk about this in his presentation next as well, is that we're really becoming brokers for the county. We are now brokering solutions for departments that are being provided primarily by the private sector through software that we're renting or leasing over a period of time. That's a tremendous shift from what we've known in the past, where we're spending capital and labor on maintaining things ourselves and doing things ourselves. So I want to mention that because, the business model is what I see fundamentally changing, and that impact is slowly starting to trickle in, where the balance between the costs that are recurring that we're renting solutions for versus the costs that we're incurring on capital and labor internally, that's going to slowly shift and be, change over the coming years. So I want to throw that out there as kind of a primer, because that is where I see the industry going right now. And there are going to be impacts, quite frankly, on both OTI and BTS from an operational perspective. How do we operate moving forward in this new model that the industry is giving us? So I just want to throw that out there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding budget or operations of OTI.
Commissioner Welch, I was counting on you.
No, they do such a great job that I really don't have many questions. A lot of these are covered at the BTS board, but Brian, it's been a great 2.5 years. I can't believe it's been 2.5 already, but the transition has been seamless. It's Mark Woodard started this under his administration, and Barry has continued with it, but you really needed that technology base within the administrator's department. I think it's worked well without a lot of duplication. So one of my questions, and you've covered, and I try to think of it as more like you used to buy Microsoft Office and install it and own it, and now you just have a subscription and you don't have any of that maintenance or upgrade responsibility anymore. One of the issues we talked about with Paul a couple of weeks ago was this ADA position. That you presented on at the last BTS meeting. And I left that meeting thinking the home for that was supposed to be in Paul's organization. And he mentioned some of that may have changed in the interim. Can you give us an update on where that is and where you see that position residing?
So for the benefit of the other commissioners, we did we had in a discussion at the BTS board over ADA. We have a lot of systems out there right now that are 10, 15 years old. We're trying to slowly upgrade those over time. But as many of you are aware, the county actually had a lawsuit against us recently that, for non-compliance with ADA. And everybody in the IT world across the state and even the country right now is trying to figure out how to react to this, because, we do need to start making our systems so that, that segment of our population can participate in the county activities, whether it's paying for a water bill or applying for a permit or whatever it is. We've done a lot of remediation work within OTI. I know some of the other constitutional IT offices have also done some work on their side. But one of the things that we're kind of looking for, that we're having a discussion about, is whether or not it's appropriate. And I think you're right, Commissioner Welsh, probably within Paul's organization, to see whether or not there's an opportunity for almost an auditing function where somebody can come and provide an expertise in the area of ADA compliance, to make sure that as we're going out, and this goes beyond just IT, as we're going and purchasing new systems, we're writing requirements into that RFP that actually address a vendor that would be qualified to provide a service that is ADA compliant. And so it's an area that we've kind of we've not had expertise certainly in-house in this area. And I feel like it's an area that certainly Paul and his staff would probably be best suited for. But what the BTS has asked is that the TSC, the Technical Steering Committee, gets together, and we actually have we have a calendar item for this next week, where we're going to get together and bring a recommendation back to the BTS board about that position, about that function, because it certainly impacts the budget requests that come up, to you guys here in the near future.
Okay. Well, we'll look out for that update. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for Ryan?
All right.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Moving right along, we have BTS.
Linda Larkins.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good morning.
Yes. Excellent. Good morning. I'm Linda Larkins with the Office of Management and Budget, and I support the Business Technology Services Department. With me today, we have Jeff Rohrs, who is the Chief Information Officer, and I believe we also have Greg Caro, the BTS Finance Manager. Let me work to share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Excellent. So first off, for BTS, I want to talk with you about the opportunities for efficiencies. BTS submitted 3 decision packages. All 3 of these are in support of providing enhanced security and against cyber intrusions. And the 2 primary attacks are either email compromise or ransomware. All 3 of these were also supported by the BTS board. The first decision package is network segmentation. It's estimated to cost about $1.25 million in FY21. That also happens to include the first year of recurring maintenance and support. So the first year of additional annual recurring maintenance will not hit until FY23, and that'll be $250,000. And this solution will, again, as I mentioned, address technology security risks, and it will help to segment the network so that helps to limit security threats. The second decision package is Application Access Portal. That one is valued at $400,000 in FY21. It also has ongoing subscription maintenance that starts in FY22, and that's $250,000. And this solution will allow users to use multi-factor authentication and access a single portal, so that helps eliminate multiple passwords that we all tend to have for all the various applications we use. So this does help improve security. The third decision package is legacy application modernization. This one is expected to be a multi-year effort. The first year is $332,000 in FY21, and the remaining portion we think we could accomplish in FY22 for additional $300,000. And this addresses the over 100 legacy applications that we are currently using. These legacy apps require local admin rights, and this poses a security risk. And so those applications either need to be modernized, or in some cases, we may actually transition those apps to other products that have higher security measures in place. And for potential threats, clearly the first potential threat is cybersecurity, as I just shared with you, and that with technology environment always changing, BTS must try to stay ahead of that curve and make sure that our applications and our environment is safe from phishing, social engineering, ransomware, etc. Another item that I have listed here as a threat is, and it's more of a challenge, is that with a highly technologically based department, and the technology is changing so rapidly, it can be challenging to hire and retain the various positions. And part of that is due to the skill levels. And the other part is that there's tends to be stronger marketplace competition. And so the compensation packages can be challenging to manage. Next, I'll go into the revenue side. This first table shows you all of the revenues that are part of the BTS fund, and these are in major category. And the largest single category is charges for services. And this is primarily the BTS cost allocations that are paid by all BCC departments and also non-BCC departments. And they're covering their costs associated with BTS services that are provided. There's also included custom IT services that the various constitutionals pay, and those are invoiced when services are rendered. This particular charges for services, we are showing a decrease from FY20 of $1.2 million, or about 2.9%. And that's due to reductions in funding that for Acela and CityWorks. I think Bill mentioned that with the OTI department that you just heard about. And it's also a factor of we had a slightly higher beginning fund balance in FY20 than we originally planned. And that is due to timing of project completions in FY19. Interest earnings are estimated based at a 1% interest rate on the beginning fund balance. And the third component of revenue is other miscellaneous revenue, and that's really just other county or other non-Pinellas County government agencies' usage of our county phone system. For the expenditure side, this first table shows you non-CIP operating personal services capital outlay expenditures. And this is for the two programs that BTS has, and that is Enterprise IT Services and Custom IT Services. I also want to point out this excludes reserves up here. So this is just what we would expect them to be spending throughout the year in FY21. And also I want to point out that as Bill mentioned earlier, in this operating expenses line, you may see in FY17 through 19 that operating expenses were in about the $4 million a year range. And then FY20 through 21, they seem to be increasing to the $16 million range. And that is not an increase in expenditures for BTS. That's simply because of the nature of OTI department history is now showing those FY17 through FY19 expenses. So there was no net increase in operating expenses when the BTS and OTI departments were reorganized. The next two tables are simply a little bit further detail showing just the program level, Enterprise IT Services operating expenses, personal operating and capital, and then we have custom IT services shown separately. And then this third table is your first look at BTS CIP. So it shows you what the operating expenses are and the capital outlay in those BTS CIP departments. So for a little bit more detail on what the variances are in the expenditure side of the house, personal services are showing an increase of 4% from FY20 to 21. That's about $720,000, and that's primarily due to the Evergreen study. The exempt phase kicked in for FY20, 21, and the majority of BTS employees are exempt, so therefore it impacted most of their employees. Operating expenses are decreasing by about 4% or $700,000. And the primary drivers of that, Oracle license and maintenance services were reduced $528,000, and I believe Clerk Burke mentioned that in his presentation. And that was due to negotiating a greatly reduced rate for the unused software. Tyler Technologies professional services are reducing just under $270,000, and that's based on CGIS user policy initiatives. And I apologize, I did not spell out in this document what CGIS stands for. So for those who may not know, it stands for Consolidated Justice Information System. And here you see a partial list of their FY21 initiatives that they are planning to accomplish. And it's funded from appropriation from prior years. Another item that we're showing as decreasing is the oblique aerial imaging at $200,000, and that's simply because it's performed every other year, so we don't need to budget for that in FY21. We're also seeing a decrease in Adobe Cloud subscription of about $180,000, and that's because we're adopting a new management subscription approach, and BTS will be purchasing those licenses and ensuring that the rollout enables all users to have the latest version, and that enhances security. Another item that we're showing is $179,000 increase due to anticipated upgrades or new phone systems, and that's with Cisco and ATOS. We're also seeing a reduction in security assessment professional services, and that's about $165,000. And much like the aerial oblique, that's an every other year item, so we clearly don't need to budget for that in FY21. And last but not least, we are showing about $137,000 increase to add Microsoft Advanced Threat Protection to our annual agreement, and that's for MS Office 365 and Enterprise Cloud Suite. And for the capital outlay, this would be the non-CIP items. We're seeing a decrease of about 38%, and that's really mainly due to primarily the cyclical nature of computer replacements. And for COVID-19 impacts, BTS clearly does have some impacts for both FY20 estimate and FY21 request, but they were able to accommodate those within their existing budget requests, so did not need to request additional funding for that. And I think you may have already heard that some of their impacts included purchase of additional VPN licenses and remote phone licenses so that we could work remotely as needed. For the staffing summary, we've got FY17 through FY21 up here in this table. And FY19, of course, we're seeing the reduction is based on transferring those positions to OTI due to the reorg. And in FY21, we're showing a decrease of 1 FTE, and that is being transferred to Utilities Department. And you may recall that a couple of weeks ago, Lori Sullivan mentioned that in her utilities budget presentation. And for the CIP side, just a little bit of background for those who may not be fully aware that the BTS CIP is essentially a multi-year plan, and they use this funding to properly size and purchase replacements based on end-of-life equipment. And back in 2015, it was approved to provide BTS with an annual funding of $2.1 million. And they use that funding as the basis for their requests for what they need to have replaced, whether it's end of life or items that they need to purchase due to growth or provide for future year reserve. And just for point of information, in FY20, their budget request included scheduled network server and storage equipment replacement due to its end of life, and also included some anticipated growth. And what they've got included in their FY21 CIP, they plan a major revision to the county's phone system, and they also have some scheduled replacements of network server and storage equipment. And I reference here to see the attached FY19 to 25 CIP by category. So I hope y'all can see that table there. It shows basically the history of from FY19 budget estimate and final, and FY20, and then 21 through 25 for the various CIP categories. And with that, I'd like to open it up for any questions you might have for me.
Anybody have any questions? If you do, just speak up because I can't see
And Jeff
you.
Orr's on the line. I think he has some comments too.
Okay. Well, let's hear from Jeff then.
Hey, good morning, commissioners. I didn't actually prepare any comments. I figured we could probably just answer questions. I do want to recognize the partnership with OMB on the budget development process this year was fantastic, and thank you, Linda. And you know, the budget development process was very smooth this year. Barry's new approach has been great. I would also like to say the BTS board saw this budget presentation and has approved this budget proposal to be presented to you all. And you know, as you saw with our opportunities for efficiencies, they're all related with cybersecurity. This is really an investment year for us in cybersecurity. And you know, without getting into the vulnerabilities and weaknesses thereof in a public meeting, I just would like to say that's kind of our focus going into next year. And I will open up for questions as well.
Commissioner Welch.
Well, I was going to get into detail about our security, but I guess I won't do that.
Good idea.
I just wanted to give kudos to Jeff and his team on just doing a great job before and after the transition. I just wanted to speak to the decision packages. We had a pretty thorough discussion on the BTS board about that. Those are all pretty critical in terms of security in the environment we're in. So why they're decision packages, I guess, goes back to our protocol, but we view those as being vital. And one thing that I know we all can relate to, and Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this gets us to a single password. And that in itself is worth it if we can just get to one password. But they're doing a great job, but I think all three of those decision packages are very important. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And if I could, thank you for saying that. And you're right, the second opportunity is the application access portal. And it's rare you get an opportunity to improve security, but also improve the end user experience. And this really will improve the end user experience by allowing one password to get to dozens of systems seamlessly.
Commissioner Seal, did you have your hand up?
So my question is, does that mean that we won't have to change our password every 90 days?
You know, not necessarily, but at least you only have to remember one. Actually, you know, the industry is moving a little bit on how long you can keep a password. A lot of that deals with how long the password is and how strong the password is. But what we're seeing is compliance isn't keeping up with that standard. So a lot of times, like under certain compliances, we have to change within 90 days. And until compliance catches up, we're stuck being compliant with those, for instance, with credit cards or with HIPAA or health information. You know, there's some compliance rules that force us into that 90-day. As those compliances do modernize, though, I could see that pushing out further.
But as we strengthen some of the cybersecurity issues, though, that helps with being able to adjust those timelines. So where you have multi-layer authentication, I'm going to use the wrong terminology, but that then strengthens your ability to be able to hold that off a little longer because, again, you're more secure. Part of the changing is because of that. And that's also what makes it so complicated because now, you know, we have logins, and for, you know, internal staff people, they may have 8 or 10 different systems that they access, but they have passwords that change, you know, at different times. Makes it very, very difficult to operate in. Takes a lot of time for BTS and OTI to support when they forget, and you know, so there's a number of benefits to doing that. Most importantly, just our security. And you know, if you were in that presentation that they gave, they scared all of us, you know, and rightfully so, because we're seeing it throughout the nation, and we're seeing other governments that have been hacked, and you know, and so we want to make sure that doesn't happen here.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you very much.
In closing, I'd just like to thank Jeff and Greg and the whole team at BTS for the partnership in bringing this budget together. It worked well, I believe.
Absolutely. Thank you,
All
Commissioner.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Administrative Services.
And Angie, you're on.
See her.
Oh, is it Angie Votaw that we need?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. She's over on the attendee list. I'll promote her to a panelist. I apologize.
Otherwise, Joe's going to be on his own.
we don't want that.
No problem, Barry.
Angie,
thing he says, commissioners, he doesn't need any more money.
Right.
Morning. Sorry, I could see everyone, but I don't think I was on. My name is Angie Votaw, and I'm the budget analyst representing the Department of Administrative Services this morning. I'm joined today by Shane Kunza, who's the Strategic Performance Management Analyst, as well as Joe Loro. the director for the Department of Administrative Services. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to hand it over to Shane to talk about the purpose and performance summary information.
Good morning, Commissioners. I've already been introduced, but I am the Performance Management Analyst for the Administrative Services Department. And today I'm going to discuss their performance summary and also the performance impact of COVID-19. Administrative Services was created about a year ago after merging risk management, purchasing, and real estate management into a single department. This department is responsible for many of the internal services that are required by the county, and they support services that are related to facility and real property, vehicle and fuel, risk management, and purchasing and procurement. The department was expecting to have a fellow from the International City County Management Association, or ICMA, to support a strategic plan and KPI development. However, this has been canceled, unfortunately. It is still recommended that a strategic plan review be carried through, though, if through a different source than ICMA in the future. The department currently utilizes historical measures and has retired several since the merger into Administrative Services. There are several opportunities for this department and its divisions now that it's coming into its first year anniversary to really take advantage of the opportunities they have and create additional KPIs to better measure the department's overall efficiency, effectiveness, and outcomes. And in regards to COVID-19, it has had an impact on the performance of this department as well. The pandemic has affected various risk management training programs such as OSHA and CPR AED. And it has not been determined if this will be started again before the end of this fiscal year. Administrative Services also played a major role in purchasing and procurement critical sanitizing agents and personal protection equipment and preparing workspaces so they are safer and cleaner for the return of county employees and guests. Risk management may not be able to do its traditional training like OSHA and CPR AED. However, they have been providing guidance and hands-on training with field staff for departments like Utilities and Public Works, teaching these employees and staff on COVID-19 prevention and best practices as well out in the field. With that, I will thank you all for your time today, and I will turn it over to Angela to give you an update on the budget.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. So now I'm going to go through some of the opportunities for efficiencies. The department did submit one decision package for a telehandler forklift. This replaces an existing piece of equipment that is 22 years old and is essentially obsolete, well past its useful life. It's primarily used for the detention facility, but is also used by other facility operations sections as needed. Some of the other opportunities for efficiencies that I'd like to go through and Joe will expand on later. As you guys know, and as Shane mentioned, Administrative Services is made up of 3 divisions: Facilities and Real Property, Fleet Management Services, and Purchasing and Risk Management. All 3 of those sections are currently going through department management reviews. The Fleet Management Study is nearing completion with an anticipated delivery date at the end of June 2020. Purchasing and Risk Management is still in the process of the management review, but nearing the end with expected completion in August of 2020. And Facilities and Real Properties was delayed just slightly due to COVID-19 response, but they anticipate beginning there shortly. These are studies that are looking for opportunities for efficiencies, hoping to develop stronger performance measures, and just really help outline where the department is going to continue to head.
Commissioners, if I can just kind of add on to that, these are 3 primary internal service areas where you're really touching every department. And so the efficiency by way of processing a bill, by way of fixing, a work order, or through the way in which we conduct fleet management services is really important. That's the reason we initiated these 3 management reviews. I believe that there's going to be a lot of new ideas brought that we can consider as we kind of look at how we merge these areas together and now how we deliver services. It takes too long to process a purchase order. It just simply does. And so we know there's better ways of doing that. This will just give us that fresh set of eyes and kind of a playbook going forward. So we're looking forward to these 3 being completed. And again, that'll help us in our performance.
Thanks. One of the next efficiencies is something that we're referring to as Save Our Stuff, or the SOS surplus. This initiative is currently in process, expected to be completed in January of 2021. It basically allows county departments, agencies, appointing authorities to have the opportunity to easily and remotely view items that have been sent to surplus and request items that could serve their needs. There's also an opportunity to establish a service level agreement with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Over the last 3 years, we've spent $2.7 million on project security escorts. And so this would allow Joe's department and the sheriff to work together to establish this agreement that would determine the number of escorts needed, where they're needed, when they're needed, per deputy cost, so to potentially reduce costs going forward. Another opportunity that's been identified is to decommission and demolish the industrial waste neutralization plant. This would be expected to reduce current operation and maintenance costs and also allow the land to be repurposed for future potential development opportunities. Sorry. One of the areas in purchasing and risk management is the opportunity to do third-party administration for claims specifically for workers' comp. This is expected to potentially reduce claims as well as reduce costs associated with claims. The department's also looking at realigning 2 risk management safety specialists in order to be more efficient. One would go to public works, one would go to utilities, and the pandemic reinforced the need to really have those positions out in the field where they're needed most. And then it was touched on just briefly, but there's also a new e-procurement software in progress. It's called iSpeed. That will automate many manual processes, including the bid process, thereby reducing the bid cycle time. There are also a couple of potential threats that we just want to keep on the radar. There's potential for premium increases for insurance policies, particularly property insurance. And then there's potential for increased tariffs on imported equipment, parts, and accessories that are used by fleet management. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into the budget summary. So this is a very large department. Total revenue, excluding fund balance for the department, is $44,556,170, and total expenses for the department, excluding the reserves, is $85,551,180. That is up 2.6% from FY20. And so because this is such a large department and spread across multiple funds, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail fund by fund. The first section is the general fund. So you'll see those charts here. Total general fund revenues are $818,920. The total general fund expenses are $40,080,980. The revenues, as you see, are minimal. They make up only about 2% of the expenses for facilities, real property, and purchasing, which are the areas that are covered by general fund. The general fund revenues primarily consist of user fees associated with petitions to vacate and release of property interest. And there's also, of course, the revenue from leasing county-owned buildings and land, and then water chiller fees. There are no proposed changes to the user fees for this year. The total general fund expenses increased by 2.8% for FY21. This increase is primarily in personal services, and it's primarily due to the new procure to pay section of purchasing being formed. This group increased the number of purchasing positions by 10 total FTE. 4 net FTE were realigned from OMB. 1 FTE was realigned from risk management, and 5 FTE were realigned from real property. So basically, it's just taking multiple functions from within the department and from OMB and putting them under one umbrella so they could better serve and be more efficient. There were also minor increases to personal services due to properly allocating staff within the department, such as the director and administrative assistants. Operating expenses did increase just slightly, only by 0.4%, primarily in utilities. Inflation typically would have caused this increase to be much higher. However, the department did a really good job this year looking at prior year trends and going essentially line by line, taking a deep dive into their budget and aligning the FY21 budget with prior year spending, causing savings in other areas that helped offset some of the other inflation that you normally would see. Capital outlay did increase by 55.3%, which equates to about $256,000. It's because of several projects that are in progress or scheduled to be started in FY21 based on facilities maintenance repair schedule. COVID-19 did have an impact, specifically in the general fund area for facilities and real property. The estimated expenses at this time include a net increase for FY20 estimates of $956,000 to operating expenses. It's due to the need for additional resources for buildings and the purchase of personal protective equipment for county employees as we plan for everyone to return. There's also an increase to capital outlay in that area of $42,000. It was due to an emergency need for a cooler ramp for the medical examiner. FY21 expenses decreased for operating by $46,960 due to anticipated delays in travel and training, and $105,720 in capital due to anticipated delays in resource shifts for some of the various facilities projects. So next up is the Star Center. The Star Center is a self-balancing fund. Total resources, including fund balance, are $10,355,220, and total expenses, excluding reserves, are $7,658,750. There was a net decrease to resources of 0.4%. Revenues are primarily made up of revenues received from the leasing of various Star Center facilities. They did decrease by 5.3% based on historical actuals. And just to note, Raytheon does account for 76.3% of the lease revenue. Beginning fund balance increased by 11.1% due to adjusting FY20 estimates down based on historical trends and current year expenses. The expenses are fully supported by dedicated sources and revenues generated within the fund. Overall expenses, excluding reserves, increased by 1.2%, primarily due to ongoing capital projects. The total budgeted reserve is $2,676,470, which decreased by 4.5% or $126,940. Current reserves are dedicated to future capital projects. There were very minimal impacts on expenditures for the Star Center Fund due to COVID-19. For FY20, it was a decrease of $2,650, and FY21, a decrease of $3,150. Both of those decreases are due to anticipated delays and cancellations of travel and training. Next, as we move on to the Fleet Fund, again, it's a self-balancing fund, similar to the Star Center, an internal service fund. So total resources, including fund balance, are $33,123,950, and total expenses, excluding reserves, are $16,748,890. There's a net increase to resources of 17%. Revenue, which is primarily made up of fuel sales, repair and maintenance revenue, and replacement revenues, decreased 0.7% from the FY20 budget. The revenues budgeted for fuel and for repairs and maintenance are directly correlated to actual expenses from prior years based on a schedule of charges cost allocation. The replacement revenue is determined based on equipment replacement schedules. Beginning fund balance increased by 43.9% or $4.9 million, primarily due to not purchasing items on the equipment replacement schedule due to them not meeting utilization requirements. So could I just expound on that a little bit, Andrew, before you go further?
Sure.
Essentially, we don't replace vehicles, commissioners, until they're ready to be replaced. We have formulas that get worked in, but if a vehicle is in good shape and only has, 10,000 miles on it and it's 7 years old, we may hold on to it longer. And that's how you get a fund that builds like that. Exactly. So, and funds paid into the vehicle replacement program do stay within the fleet fund, and they'll be utilized at the point in time that the equipment is replaced. And so Fleet works really closely with the departments that have underutilization issues to ensure that they find better ways to use the equipment or if necessary, it's redeployed somewhere else in the county. Again, expenditures are 100% supported by dedicated resources or revenues generated within the fund. Overall expenses excluding reserves increased by 4.3%, primarily due to vehicles eligible to be replaced based solely on useful life. So again, as Joe kind of touched on, the budget is based on equipment that has come due based solely on useful life. And then when the actual schedule is built and before things are ordered, the utilization and other requirements are looked at. And if they're not met, the equipment's not ordered in that year. Reserves did increase by 34.6% or $4.2 million, again, primarily due to vehicle and equipment purchases being pushed forward due to not meeting utilization requirements in FY20. COVID-19 impact that we're currently seeing is minor, with FY20 estimates decreasing by 11,300 and FY21 budget decreasing by 13,400 due to anticipated delays and cancellations of travel and training. It's important to note we did look at fuel usage and expenses and analyze those for impacts. However, there's not expected at this time to be a net impact due to the new single user per vehicle model. Even though fuel costs are down considerably, you have now only, due to social distancing, one employee is in a vehicle, so more vehicles are on the road. Additionally, I think it's important to note, we're currently starting to see supply chain issues that are affecting deliveries of equipment and parts, especially if there is a resurgence of COVID-19 infections. It could significantly impact FY20 estimates, as well as FY21 order fulfillment if shutdowns are experienced in assembly, component, or material plants. These shutdowns can delay equipment deliveries beyond the fiscal year, resulting in lower than expected expenditures in FY20 and displacement of available budget for FY21 orders. Additionally, plant shutdowns could result in dealer order cancellation altogether, which would require dealers to resubmit orders for potentially newer models, further impacting delivery delays and potentially impacting costs.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is there any thought to considering the use of electric vehicles to help further reduce our expense side?
Commissioner, yes, we're looking at that long term. We're looking at the duty cycles of the vehicles and where it makes sense to use electric vehicles. Currently, we have charging stations, as you know, that we've installed. And we do have a couple of electric, I should say, hybrid vehicles in the fleet. But long term, there has to be a long-term plan. And right now, we have a lot of fuel vehicles that we need to make sure run through their useful life. Otherwise, from an expense perspective, it wouldn't make sense swapping out at this point in time. But long term, absolutely. And not just electric, there are other means of fueling vehicles as well. So,
Commissioners, Joe, I'd like to add on to that. The Hank is working with fleet on this fleet study. So we're looking at alternative fuels. And again, just to Joe's point, there's different types, but our infrastructure necessary to support those newer technologies. So that'll be part of the fleet study. And then that'll measure the return on the investment as we bring back to you that fleet study and talk about how to set a kind of a strategic goal for fleet services in the future.
Well, keep in mind while you're doing all of that, that there are quite a few different types of grants that can be applied for to receive to offset the cost. And so I'd be very interested in hearing all about those opportunities as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay. The last fund is the Risk Financing Fund. So total resources for this fund are $50,823,500. Total expenditures, excluding reserves, are $21,062,560. Revenues are based on the risk cost allocation plan and are charged to other funds that use the services. Revenues have decreased by 1.7% based on the cost allocation plan. Expenses, again, this is a self-balancing fund, so expenses are 100% supported by dedicated sources or revenues generated within the fund. Expenditures excluding reserves increased by 2%. This is primarily due to increases that we've seen in insurance premiums. Reserves increased by 3.5%. The COVID impact, again, is minimal. FY20 estimate decreased by $9,400. FY21 operating expenses decreased by $9,420, both due to anticipated delays and cancellations in travel and training. So now moving on to the staffing summary. As you can see, there have been a lot of moving parts as Joe works to better realign his department. Primarily, it's the positions that we discussed earlier in purchasing that were created by realigning other positions from within the department and from within OMB. You can see that it still is 200 positions total. And with that, I'll hand it over to Joe Lauro to further discuss the department. Thanks, Angie. I appreciate it. And before I go any further, I wanted to thank Angie and Shane for their hard work. It is a complicated budget. Angie, if you don't know, is leaving us to go to the clerk of the court. I heard Mr. Burke say earlier that he got some of his employees. Well, Angie is going to the clerk of the court. So hate to see her go. She's done a great job on the budget process. No question about it. Congratulations, Angie. Thank you. From an internal service department perspective, everybody asks, what do internal service departments have in common? One really thing they have in common is customer expectations. If we don't do what we need to do as internal service departments, the outfacing departments can't do their job. And honestly, internal service departments are a lot of times overlooked or thrown under freight trains because of some of the services that we provide. It's behind the scenes, so a lot of times excuses made, well, we can't get the work done because of the contracting process or because fleet management didn't do what they needed to do or facilities didn't do what they needed to do. So looking at internal service departments across the board, we really want to focus on improving processes, improving customer services. There needs to be a sense of urgency and customer awareness. What do our customers need to get their job done? Understand what they need and expect. Once we reach those expectations, I think things will improve a lot more going forward. As Barry mentioned, we have several consultants now that are looking at our services internally. Purchasing, right off the bat, there was some low-hanging fruit. One of the things we've seen internally without even before the consultant came in is we have a software system now, Oracle Financials, that works. I mean, it's effective. It gets you an end product, but it's not really designed for government. So we purchased a system that will help us internally in purchasing process bids, quotes, et cetera. Everything's contained in one system. You create the document, you source that document, you have a list of providers provided by the firm, 600,000 vendors as an example, already in the database, and then you receive it electronically and it tabulates it electronically. So that in itself is a huge improvement. Of course, the consultant we're looking at a lot is going to come in and look at a lot of the extraneous things to the purchasing process that'll help us as well, like contract review, actually going through and mapping certain processes, seeing why they're taking longer than they should take. But we totally anticipate large improvement to that process going forward. From a fleet management perspective, we have a consultant, and as Angie said, it's going to wrap up pretty soon here at the end of this month, looking at a lot of things to improve efficiencies. One of them are our fuel sites. We currently have 17 fuel sites. Do we need 17 fuel sites? No, we don't need 17 fuel sites. A lot of it was done over the years from a customer service perspective, or capacity, et cetera. Just by reducing those fuel sites, we save on operating and capital costs. And it's pretty significant. The first year alone, if we reduce those fuel sites down to what the consultant is recommending for about 10 sites, we save about $2 million just the first year alone due to capital costs mainly. Some of these fuel sites need to be replaced. So obviously, if you shut them down, you don't have to replace them, and hence the savings. Facilities where we would have had a consultant in already, we have a consultant lined up, but because facility staff has been so active with COVID response, it just wouldn't have been fair to bring the consultant in because he has to actually talk to a lot of the employees, and they're just so wrapped up with COVID response right now. I set it back just a few weeks. So we anticipate having that consultant starting beginning of July. But once again, all three of these consultants are really going to help us going forward. A lot of things we see, but it's nice to get an objective third party come in and actually tell us, yes, this is what needs to be done. And it just works out better that way from a long-term perspective. But Yeah, internal service departments, like I said, it's very important that we do our job efficiently and effectively. And by doing such, we can provide goods and services faster to the taxpayer. So that's really all I had to say about the department itself. And I wanted to thank Barry for the opportunity too. He created this department about a year ago. And, you know, when they first created it, so where's the similarities, you know, between these departments? They're kind of disparate. But when you take a step back and look, it really does make a lot of sense to combine these functions under one umbrella. And I think we really have improved things and totally expect to improve things a lot more over the next year. Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity. Any questions regarding the department or what we do function-wise or anything else?
You did a great job, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Long. Appreciate it.
Yes, Commissioner Seal.
Yes, Joe, thank you. I know you've been working hard, particularly in your staff during this whole COVID situation. Everybody's been very professional and helpful, so thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
My question is, and this goes back a little bit to the Star Center. And, you know, when we decided not to pursue selling the property, we talked about optimizing as much as we could and trying to turn it into more of a revenue generator than a break-even operation. I was just curious where we were with that. I know COVID's probably, you know, created backlash on that effort, but I just thought I'd see where we were going with the Star Center.
Absolutely. Commissioner, one of the things we're trying to work with is economic development just towards that end to get their assistance. And you're exactly right, COVID has pushed that back. But I intend to talk to Mike Mydell and his staff potentially about what we can do going forward to optimize that site and use it as best as it can be utilized. Right now, it's kind of, you know, the way it always has been. It hasn't changed much from an operating perspective.
Commissioner, on that note, you know, one of the things that we approved here recently was a contract for a deal maker to do outward economic development, something that we haven't done in the past. Aligning the improvements on this site and being able to create those opportunities will fit in nicely with what that person's being asked to do. And so that understanding some of the facility issues, taking down the old school and making some of these development sites ready along with creating the outward marketing will be key in kind of linking those two pieces together. So I know Mike is well aware of that. First was getting that assistance on board for the outward marketing.
Any other questions or comments for Joe? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, next up is general government.
And Cecilia is on.
I am on. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm here to talk today about the general fund as well as general government, but I'm going to start with general fund and I'll share my screen. Okay, are you seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, let me scroll back up to the top. Make sure I've got the right version. I had a few open. Okay, so first thing I want to start talking about is the 170 million, as you see up here, is included in our budget currently for FY20 and in our software. But to make it easier to do comparisons from year to year, I've left it out of these summary tables. Otherwise, it gets skewed and you really can't see our trend. So it is included in our budget and our estimate. You just won't see it on this report. Also, as I go along, I'd like to leave this summary table up as I'm talking, rather than scrolling it to the different talking points. So if that becomes a problem, please just let me know. I just think it'll be better visually as I'm discussing some of these things that you can actually see the numbers. So with that, I will get started. Overall, the general fund is increasing by $56 million from 20 to 21. That's substantial. I'll remind you that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we were doing a quick snapshot of the general fund that 23.2 million of that is from unanticipated lapse from FY19. And then the bulk of the remainder of that is the increase in ad valorem for FY21, which is about $33.2 million. So that really makes up that increase overall. And you'll see these other lines and these other categories that will have some increases, some decreases, but those are the significant increases contributing to that. What I've done on your document that I provided, I did try to provide a brief description of what each of these major categories may include, or maybe in some cases, maybe a little bit of a definition, but I'm not planning to walk through every line. But if you have questions, obviously I'll be happy to try to answer those. I will go through some of the highlights. For instance, the tax category, that is our most substantial revenue, and that mostly includes the ad valorem. About 8 million of that is communication services tax, and the rest of that is our ad valorem revenue. So that is our, for 21, that's about 75% of our revenue for the general fund. The next category I really wanted to talk about was this intergovernmental revenue line here. This is one that fluctuates a little bit more, partially because this is where we receive grants, federal, local, state grants. What you'll see in 20 estimate here is it's a bit higher than our FY20 budget, and that's due to the IRMA reimbursements that we're receiving this year. We did not actually have those included in our FY20 budget, but we have posted the actuals, and estimates include that. Also, if you look back at 18 and especially 19, you'll see it was a bit higher in 19. Just a reminder, back in 19, we had a $7 million grant we received for red tide. So it was a reimbursement for that. So that's why you're seeing that spike there. Additionally, in that category, this is where we receive the half-cent sales tax and revenue sharing revenues that we receive from the state. And as you're aware that COVID has impacted those a bit, for 20 estimate, there's a combined 15.5% decrease that we projected for revenue sharing and half-cent sales tax, and about so that equates to about $11 million. For 21, about a $4 million decrease in those categories. We are constantly watching those to refine our assumptions on that, but those revenues lag a couple months behind, so we really haven't been able to get solid numbers on what we've been receiving and what the actual impact is, but we will be refining that, and that will be reflected and brought back to you as we're getting new numbers on those. Overall, those revenues, the half-cent sales tax and the revenue sharing usually represent about 11% of our revenue to the general fund. The next item you see quite large is our charges for services, just below the intergovernmental revenue. Our charges for services are predominantly the sheriff contracts and fees that he brings in. For FY21, about 35.6 million of that is related to sheriff revenue. But also included in this category is our revenue from our parks, so parking, vendors, entrance fees. For 21, that's about $6 million. And the FY20 estimate actually reflects about $1 million decrease for the parks revenue due to COVID-19. We also account for our animal services rabies licenses, and also the shelter fees are accounted for, and that's about $3.5 million in our revenue for FY21. And another large contributor you'll see down here is the other miscellaneous revenue. And about 23.6 million of that is our general fund allocation that we receive from other departments and other funds for the services the general fund provides out. Some of those that we talked about earlier when the clerk was on, some of those clerk fees, some of the services that the clerk performs that are reimbursed through that. Also, costs associated with purchasing, OMB, county attorney, several, even administrative services with their real estate management and collecting from other departments for services they provide or bills that they pay on behalf of other county departments. So those are all recouped there. For 21, that's $23.6 million. And I'm going to scroll on down. And hopefully I covered most of everything that I had as bullet points there. And I'm going to move on to the expenditures. So for the general fund expenditures, while we had significant increase in revenue, luckily our expenditures have not decreased, not increased at that rate. We only increased less reserves. So we've increased 3.9 million from 21 budget, from 20 budget to 21 request. So that's only 0.6% of an increase to the general fund, which is really notable. A lot of the things that you've heard so far in our budget presentations has been each department dug in, scrubbed what they have been requesting, looking, just administrative services just talked about having a very small increase to their operating budget in the general fund. And all of that works into why we have such a small increase into the general fund expenditures. We also had some non-recurring items that we removed, but a lot of it was that digging in, looking for things that we may have been budgeting at a trend higher than what we were experiencing. Some highlights to this is there is an increase about 3.3% in personal services. This is for the entire general fund. That's only 3.9 million. A lot of that can be attributed to that exempt portion, or actually the full pay and class study. But most notable, the exempt had the largest impact. It also includes any benefit increases and pay adjustments that we have factored into the budget. Expenditures are actually for operating and capital outlay, they're decreasing. And you'll see that here. The decrease is about 5.6 million. One of the things to note here that hopefully wasn't confusing on what I wrote up was we had $2 million in general government set aside for the pay and class study impact. So that was set aside since FY18 in case we got the results from the pay and class study from Evergreen and needed to do something mid-year to adjust the budgets. We had that earmark set aside in case that was necessary to use. That is one of those non-recurring items that we removed from operating, but essentially it shifted to personal services because we have the true cost of the impacts incorporated into personal services. So that is a little bit of a shifting between operating and personal services that you'll see there. We also had a decrease to our BTS cost allocation of about $1 million in the general fund, and also some decreases, and then I'll talk a little bit more when we get to the general government portion. We're wrapping up some of our BP projects, so there's about $1 million decrease there from last year. So some of those are completing and or estimated to go beyond 21, but most of them are wrapping up. The largest increase that you'll see is actually to the constitutional officers transfer, and that's due to the fact that we gave them targets. None of the, as a reminder, we did not give the BCC or any of the independent agencies targets for FY21. So only the constitutional officers received that. It was about a 3.2% target for their personal services and a 2.2% increase to operating and capital outlay. So that is part of the increase, even though some of those have come in under target, as they've mentioned. That is predominantly the driver of this. And just to remind you, these numbers do not include any proposed decision packages that have been discussed. These are purely the budget requests of these constitutional officers, only reflect what they submitted as their basically baseline budget, does not incorporate any additional requested funding from that. One thing I did want to mention that I missed here when I was talking is that we do have these transfers to other funds, and you'll see there's a decrease there from FY20. What's incorporated overall in those funds, we have $2 million for OPEB that we transferred to employee benefits. We also have our $650,000 transfer to capital outlay for CIP. But one of the things that we've had a relatively large dollar amount, an increase every year, was a transfer to the emergency 911 to support their operations. And for FY21, that's actually been removed from as a transfer to that. Sorry, not removed, but reduced down again. So we're saving some money there. And also the $739,000 transfer to community development has historically been programmed into the general fund transfers, and as you may recall from their budget discussion, they are they're not asking for that in FY21. They're going to utilize any fund balance that they had remaining from those prior year transfers. So we are seeing a reduction there as well. And overall in the general fund, we're seeing about an $8 million impact to the expenditure estimates thus far for COVID-19, and this is among various county departments. So the ones that have already spoken about it is reflected in this, that are in general fund. This reflects those. And also, as I move on to general government, I will, explain a little bit more about what gets incorporated into general government. So general government is a very large cost center in the general fund, and it basically, it's not really a department, but it's a catch-all for a lot of the expenditures that we have that serve all county departments, not just one, or serves the county, and this also other agencies. So what you'll see here, it also includes the transfers and reserves. I've backed them out of this summary just to make it a little bit easier. I've already spoken about those for the most part. So I was trying to concentrate a little bit more about the other parts of general government. But it does normally include the transfers and reserves in this cost center. So that's what usually makes it so large if you're looking at our budget document. So as I described above, this is where we had the $2 million in this operating line that was sitting there for the pay and class study that has been repurposed throughout the general fund in various county departments for the pay and class study. Like I said, there's a $1.6 million decrease in BTS for the cost plan, and the BP economic settlement. Some of those are wrapping up, as I mentioned. We have an 18% increase in our tax increment financing, and that increases at a large percent each year for the past 5 years. It's ranged from 22% to 18%. So that's where we often see a large increase in our general government budget. Even when we're decreasing other places, that tends to be where we're getting hit, with an increase to our budget. So I just wanted to point that out. I did mention that, I believe, when we were talking about our forecast last time. So I thought this is where we have it, and that's what is reflected in that budget. Other things that I wanted to let you know, in case you're not aware, the general government includes our MSTU costs that aren't embedded in another department. So for, like I said, the $650,000 transfer to CIP for the MSTU road paving, that's actually part of the general government budget. And also the $220,000 for the special projects that we appropriate each year. That's included in general government as well. And that is also included in the FY21 budget, along with an estimate for how much we believe will be lapsed from prior year. Right now, we have about $400,000 is estimated being lapsed from prior year expenditures, not just 20, but any year before, prior to that the funding wasn't spent. We'll do a true up with that a little bit closer to the adoption of the budget. We want to make sure that we incorporate that so that any projects that are forthcoming can be appropriated. Additional items, I mentioned the COVID-19 cost. When Irma hit, all of the costs for Irma for every general fund department and all of public works were posted to general government. And part of that is just to make it easier for departments to record expenditures when they're moving fast. And, with with public works, if you're not aware, their costs are split among 3 funds. What we don't want are people who are trying to charge time to a project and responding to a disaster quickly to have to decide which fund they're supposed to be charging to. So we try to simplify that and have everything in the general government cost center and the general fund. That's where we receive the reimbursements that are received on behalf of those charges. We also have the disaster consultant incorporated into the general government budget. And a lot of the COVID-19 costs are in the general government, such as the PPE and many of those costs that are countywide, not just department specific. However, for COVID-19, departments do have allocations with their own, such as administrative services. They are charging costs within their cost centers, emergency management as well. So the general government, for the purposes of COVID-19, is absorbing those that are expenditures that are really countywide as far as some of the things that we're needing to do. We also include in general government, this is where we have our lobbying contracts, also memberships that are countywide, such as the Florida Association of Counties, NACO, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. All of those we have incorporated in the general government. And you're hearing a lot about the managerial studies and also behavioral health. We have $3.8 million right now included in the estimate and FY21 budget for consultant studies, but it's incorporating all of those managerial studies, the space study, the behavioral health study. We're centralizing those because it gives us some control of what's being spent there, and then it's easier to allocate and stay on top of those expenses with them being in general government. So I did want to mention those are actually here, even if they're being performed on behalf of administrative services, those are actually being accounted for in general government. And with that, I will open it up to questions.
So Sarah, if you can, go up to your summary sheet before you got to general government. I want to just point out a couple of things. Yeah, right here.
Okay.
So commissioners, one of the things I want to point out before we open it up for questions is, you heard that our assessor really talking about the impacts of COVID on our overall, especially on our property tax, and kind of that lag that may occur. That's going to be one of the things we have to look at. If you look down here under reserves, you see, commissioners, you've done a great job of building up our reserves. So we're prepared for the impacts of something like that. But we don't want to rest on that, because in fact, what we receive as an increase this year may go away next year. And so we need to be conservative. In fact, if you look at some of the estimates, when Bill and Cecilia prepared some of their estimates for the FY20 budget, they're actually coming in closer to what is actually occurring with the impacts of COVID, because they were conservative in their estimates. So in certain areas, but you'll see that as we look at the decision packages down here, this is where we really need to keep an eye on this. And that's the reason we wanted another month to look at our revenue, refine that, and then bring to you the decision packages next month. That'll give us updated revenue numbers. We can be much more targeted. We can also determine what are those things that are true one-time costs versus ongoing that we have to account for in our ongoing revenue. So that's where we're going to zero in, and we'll have much more detail to you next month. But again, certain areas are impacted, more than others, but looking in just on strictly in the general fund, we've got a couple of different options. And again, we'll refine that next month. But that's the reason I wanted you to kind of zero in on this, because I think that's an important slide that really sets and paints the picture of how we're going to address the COVID-related impacts from the 20 budget, but more importantly, how we project in what's going to occur in 21 and in 22.
Okay. Okay, is that the end of the presentation?
That's the end of the presentation.
Okay, then. Do we have any questions for general government? Okay, well, that was the end of our presentations for today. So,
Commissioners, so I heard some of the discussion you had before I got on this morning regarding some of the budget meetings. Bill and I actually had some communication issues yesterday. One of the things we did, the sheriff and I need a little more time. We've had so many issues relating to everything going on that him and I really need to sit down again. And so we asked for his budget to be postponed until next month, and that gives us an opportunity to meet again and work through some of his budget issues. And so he was agreeable to do that, but that did free up some time on Friday. I had asked Bill, because tomorrow I think we're going to have a pretty robust conversation, just from my individual conversations with a couple of you, that regarding the emergency declaration. So I'd said maybe we can push a couple of departments to Friday. I didn't mean all of them. But that's what we ended up doing. So if you're agreeable, we can add actually a couple back for tomorrow. And if it runs too late, well, then we'll just we'll pump them to Friday. But we can bring back like animal control, safety and emergency services, and emergency management. We can actually have those on tomorrow. There are departments. If they get bumped to Friday, they'll live and they'll be fine. So dependent upon the time that it actually takes. So if you're agreeable to that, I'll make those adjustments.
Okay, that sounds good to me, especially since it's our internal departments. We don't have to be putting up anybody else on a standby.
I think it's a great idea, Commissioner, and I'm very hopeful that we'll do that and give the appropriate amount of time to our citizens if they want to talk tomorrow as well.
Right. Okay. All right, then. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.